you wear your sneakers with no socks?
Oh, no, I have footies on.
Oh, we're live. Hey, welcome to the Micheaux Mission. 2 men, 1 podcast. Every black film ever made. My name is Len, a.k.a. the Bat Tribble. And as always, I am joined by my partner.
Hey, this is Vincent Williams.
Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we are continuing our September of Doc to School as we cover great black documentaries in September. And tonight, Vincent has made the selection for this evening. He journeyed to one of his favorite genres of music, jazz, to pull for you the 2016 documentary, I Called Him Morgan, the life story of the jazz trumpeter Lee Morgan and his wife, Helen Morgan.
Yes, the life and death story.
Yes, indeed. So that's what we will be bringing to you tonight on the Micheaux Mission, as well as taking a look at what happened in 2016 in the world of hip-hop.
Oh, boy.
As we use Doc to School to celebrate the 50 years of hip-hop as well. All right? But first, as always, shout out to each and every one of you who are out there watching as we are streaming live from Young Junk, Philadelphia's premier video podcast palace. Shout out to each and every one of you out there in the chat who are watching us as we stream to YouTube as well as to Facebook. And we're actually also streaming to LinkedIn. And,
Yes.
And X.
All right.
Marks the
You
spot.
mean Twitter?
Twitx or Twix. Let's call it Twix. I like that.
Or we could call it Twitter, which is what everyone is calling. Like, I love the fact that as a global community,
nobody's
we all told him, this is stupid. We're just going to call it Twitter.
Just going to call it Twitter. All right, fine.
Yes. We're also streaming on Twitter.
We're also streaming on Twitter.
Yes.
I'm not a fan of Twix anyway, so let's keep it moving.
It's a weird candy.
It is.
It's a weird candy. It's like they said, I guess we got to keep coming up with candies. Mm-hmm. So we'll get like a cookie that's not stale, but it has the consistency
of a stale cookie, right? Okay, I thought it was just me.
And then we'll put like chocolate on it and
try to hide the
try
stale.
to hide it, and we'll keep having like advertising for it, but
it don't work. Right?
Nobody really likes Twix. Like who? I'm gonna get some Twix. Like who? I should probably stop. They don't advertise with us, do they?
No, they don't.
Okay, it's like who asked for this?
Nobody asked for this.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah.
It's weird. But anyway, moving on.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to each and every one of you out there in the chat. Farrell Blackwell, LaDame, Sharon Eldridge, Deborah Battle, Aaron Fry, and all of you out there in the chat.
There you go. Good evening, one and all.
There you go. All right. We are going to get this train moving real quick because I do understand that we were a little late this evening.
Hey, man. We may not come when you call us, but we'll be there right on time.
That's right. And we are right on time as we go through our missives from the missionaries. This is from the missionaries, ladies and gentlemen, where we look at the emails and comments that we've gotten from all of you. We've gotten a comment in real time in the chat. Vincent LaDame is saying, hold on, y'all bugging because Twix are delicious.
I refuse to believe that they choose Twix first.
It's not your first.
It's not your first choice. You know what Twix are? When your kids go, when Halloween comes and it's trick-or-treat and it's leftover candy, and you eat all of the Reese's peanut butter cups, and you eat all of the M&Ms, and you eat all of the chocolate, and the last chocolate candy that's left is a Twix. And you eat them because it's there, it's candy, but like no one chooses it first.
Do you eat the chocolate candy in that order? Reese's, M&Ms, and then the rest of the
I
chocolate?
do.
Really?
I do.
So Reese's would be your go-to chocolate first.
Reese's peanut butter cup. Absolutely.
Interesting. That wouldn't be mine.
Oh, okay.
That wouldn't be mine.
You're not gonna say nothing crazy like a Zagnut or nothing.
No.
Something crazy. All right, what?
No, I think my go-to first would be a Snickers.
It's fair.
It would be a
Snickers is a solid choice.
Yeah.
Snickers is a solid choice.
It would be a Snickers bar, and then after that, like I don't go to I like M&Ms.
Sure.
But I really am. I'm good with M&Ms. I would go to a Snickers, then I'd go to Milky Way.
Milky Way. Milky Way is low for me.
Really?
I'm suspicious of nougat.
You're scared of nougat?
Yeah. Three Musketeers used to be my favorite candy bar until I realized, like, what
is nougat?
What am I actually eating?
You know what? We are brothers, man. Because I was the same way.
Yeah.
That used to be my jam.
Right.
And I was like,
what is this exactly? Yeah.
It's not quite.
Yeah.
It tastes like it wants to be a Whopper, but it's not.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we've got emails, ladies and gentlemen.
Right. Dane, we see your passion over the Twix, and we acknowledge that.
Yes. And
different strokes for different folks.
You stay there.
Right.
All right, we're going to the email.
All right, what we got?
We got an email from Michael Sykes.
Hey, what's up, Michael?
Watching us in real time. Hello, Len and Vincent. I listened to y'all old episode of the 1993 movie Who's the Man?
Okay.
Regardless of what y'all say, this is a good Saturday matinee movie.
Oh, hey man,
he threw a lot of qualifiers on there.
Look,
he threw a lot of qualifiers on there.
If you say so, there is not a better film starring hip hop host
Ed Love
of 90s rap music. As opposed to, I don't know, hip hop host of country music. I don't know.
It's one of those movies you see on your local channel showing on a lazy Saturday afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all took this movie too seriously.
Hey man, that's actually our
actually
our shtick,
Michael.
We take all the
movies a little bit too seriously.
We had a conversation last night for another podcast that focused on the National Film Registry, and we talked for 15 minutes without irony, without jokes, dead ass serious about the work of Tyler Perry.
Yes, we did.
Very seriously. That's our whole deal. We take everything seriously.
Michael continues.
Continue, Michael.
Bernie Mac.
Okay.
Dr. Dre. Ed Lover.
Yes.
And Dennis Leary did a great job, especially the donut scenes.
There's a lot of passion for Who's the Man.
That's a lot of call out there. Shout out to Baja Doja, an actor whom y'all don't show no respect to. Are you kidding me? Every time a man shows up, we shout him out.
We do.
The way y'all talked about this movie is like y'all never gave this movie a chance.
We had it in for Who's the Man.
I'll choose this movie over another Bow-Legged Lou movie, House Party 2. Y'all mocked Mr. Lou for singing Precious Lord, in which he did a great job in.
My goodness.
However, I still love the podcast.
Okay.
And I agree with Vincent. I don't like Heavy D reggae songs, and Johnny Gill is better than Ralph.
I don't even remember this conversation. I don't remember. Although I agree with everything that he said I just said. I didn't like Heavy D's reggae, and I do think Johnny Gill is a better singer than Ralph. And now I'm going to have to deal with Toya.
No, I mean, I don't think there's an argument that Johnny Gill is a better singer than Ralph.
Okay, all right.
I don't think he doesn't have the charisma that Ralph does.
No, he said he will rub you the right way. And in the video, he had on church shoes, and he was dancing real fast.
Yeah. Yeah, real fast, a little bit too fast.
Just real fast.
That's Johnny's problem.
That was Johnny. Johnny moved real fast.
That's right. Johnny was in the back.
Right.
He couldn't hide on Rub You the Right Way.
Dude, I can't imagine joining New Edition after they have been together that long.
Well, I
like
can imagine
just these hardened veterans of.
I can't imagine, first of all, joining New Edition, but you're stepping in for Bobby Brown.
Yeah.
Who, though Ralph was the voice, Bobby was the one your eye went to.
I know.
Right after Ralph.
I know. There's that moment in the If It Isn't Love video, and I'm sure, it's all acting and this, that, and the other, where they're all frustrated because Johnny just can't catch the moves. And I felt so bad for him. I was like, shit, like, how do you join New Edition? And like, now you got to do the New Edition. Like, they had been doing the New Edition stuff for like 10 years. And now, like, you the dude that sang Perfect Combination with Stacey Lattisaw. That's what you did. Like,
that's what you do.
I don't know if Johnny Gill had a fast song before he joined New Edition.
No, because his solo album came out
right
after that.
Right. Chemistry. And
so he probably had like some fast songs, but they were
right. But it was like Half Crazy, and then Perfect Combination, and like he had the Jerry curl, and was at the piano. Like that wasn't even Johnny Gill's deal.
Right. The worst
now
part,
he's in New Edition, and he got to do the New Edition stuff.
The worst part is that yes, they show the frustration that he can't quite get the steps. The worst part is that they still couldn't edit out of the video that he is still messing up.
I mean,
like the parts they keep in the video, he's off way to the left.
He's doing the best he can, and and I think he catch. He like eventually but damn, can you imagine?
And they gave him the parts where he just slowed down a little bit.
Right? Oh my goodness! I always felt for. I did. I always felt for Johnny Gill. I was like, poor guy.
Y'all said I was just singing.
Right. It's like with the Four Tops, famously said to Barry Gordy, like they wanted the Four Tops to do like the Temptations type, intricate. And the Four Tops said, look, man, we gonna sing or we gonna dance. You gonna have to pick. Like it's only one Temptations.
Mm-hmm.
Or like in Shalimar, like Jeffrey Daniels, right?
The other guy.
Yeah, Jeffrey Daniels and Jody Watley were actually dancers on Soul Train.
Yes.
Howard Hewitt, hey man, I'm here to sing. I like if you look at like the Shalimar footage, like they're in the background and they're all because they're dancers. Howard Hewitt, hey man, I don't do all that.
Mm-mm. I gotta watch.
Right. Poor Johnny Gill, you in New Edition, you got to sing and dance.
Yeah, bro.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Well, he cut him slack because when he starts singing, he stops dancing.
Right. Oh my goodness.
If you notice that in all of his videos.
Right. Well, thank you. Was that the end of Michael's?
That was the end of Michael.
Right. I'm actually. You see that touched it because I did. I felt for Johnny. I did. I felt for that brother.
The argument that will never end. We could just do our New Edition.
Right.
All right. That's our emails.
Okay. All right.
We're going to continue. Keep moving on. There is for September. There is no top 5 as we are instead taking this moment to celebrate 50 years of hip hop, and we're going to use the year of our documentary.
Okay.
To present 5 things that happened in the world of hip hop. I Called Him Morgan came out in 2016.
Yes, it did.
So we are going to look at the year of hip hop 2016.
I don't know if I'm gonna have as much fun with this list as we did last week.
Well, these are probably things that you're not going to have much to.
All right, go ahead. Well, let's just go ahead through them.
So, but we'll start with number 5.
Number 5. Hip Hop 2016.
Hip Hop in 2016. And also the other caveat is that these are things that happened in hip hop in September
September
of 2016.
2016.
So we're like
Right.
really keeping it,
Right.
in theme here.
Do you remember? Yeah.
Do you remember
Yeah.
that on September 16th in 2016, the rapper The Game,
Okay.
remember The Game?
I do remember the game.
He released
Oh.
his diss track 92 Bars, which was aimed at Philly's own Meek Mills, who
Oh, Lord.
The Game claims ratted him out
Okay.
about The Game, quote unquote, robbing Sean Kingston at an LA nightclub.
Well, when you say he ratted him out, is he admitting that he did it?
No. The Game is saying that Meek ratted him out to the police.
Right.
Saying that
That the game's the one that did it.
right.
So is the game angry because Meek Mills lied on him, or is the game angry that Meek Mills told on him?
That part is never made clear.
It's
at
not
least not
clear.
that I could see. So The Game, I never saw any
I
place
feel
where
like
he admitted
right
that he did it.
2016. I assume the game was too old, like to be robbed, like
to be robbing people.
right. Why are
Well,
you
or too
rob-
famous?
or too famous? So that's why I'm. Oh, whoa! There you go. I don't care. It just dawned on me that there are two possible answers. Either the game didn't do it and Meek Mills lied on him and I don't care, or the game robbed him and Meek Mills told on him and I don't care.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. What's the next 2016, huh?
So in September 2016
Right.
is
The
when
game released a diss track.
called 92 Bars.
Sure, why not?
Do you want to hear the lyrics
I
from 92?
don't. I am almost positive we can skip all four of these.
Okay. Well, I won't give you
Like, I challenge you to come up with one of these that I'm interested in.
Vincent, I'm telling you right now, you don't want to do that.
Because why? Because
The next one is a tragic one.
oh no, did somebody die?
Yes.
Who died in 2016?
On September number 4, on September 21st, Shawty Low from the group D4L, which stands for Down for Life, was killed in a single car accident in Fulton County, Georgia.
Okay.
He was known for his group D4L. They released in 2005 Laffy Taffy. Remember that track, Laffy Taffy?
Do remember that?
Yeah, and he had recently gone solo. He was 40 years old when the car accident, when his 2016 Audi caught fire at the Cascade Road exit after crashing into a guardrail and hitting several trees. 2 women were said to be in the car, but were also sent to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. But Shawty, a.k.a. Carlos Walker, died in that car accident.
Well, that's sad. And now you've brought down the room.
I'm sorry.
Can we move to 3 that perhaps is less tragic?
Number three, in September of 2016, sees the release of The Sun's Tirade, the debut studio album by Isaiah Rashad. This album was released on September 2nd. It was recorded during a period in which Rashad had experienced struggles with depression and addiction. It featured guest appearances from Sir, Zakari, Kendrick Lamar.
Oh, okay. Right. I didn't know who that is.
Deacon Blues. And it would go on. It debuted at number 17 on a U.S. Billboard 200. It featured the acclaimed lead single, Free Lunch, and was noted on many end-of-year best album lists.
Okay. All right.
So there you have that.
You like, I know you remember when you got to the point where like artists were coming out
And you follow them.
And you didn't know who they were.
Yes.
Like you see people know this is such and such, and they did this, that, and the other, and you didn't know where they were. And there's that period where you try to figure out who people were. Do you remember getting to the period where you just didn't care anymore?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was before 2016.
It was indeed before 2016. It's funny because you mentioned Kendrick Lamar, and I was firmly in my, I don't need to hear anyone new ever again. And one of my students actually said, oh, no, you should listen to this. And I said, I'm not listening to this. And they said, no, really, you should listen to this. I said, I'm not listening to this. And they said, no, really, you should listen to it. And like the third time, I said, all right, I'll listen to it. And Good Kid, Mad City is one of my favorite albums.
Kendrick Lamar is a very good artist.
Oh, yeah.
And there actually are a few good artists. Like he lists that he worked with Sir. I have gone back and listened to some tracks of Sir. I like Sir.
Okay.
I like Sir a lot. There's a few artists out there now.
Look, I know. I'm sure it is.
So I like. So it's cool. Yeah, not many, but
and look, man, everything don't have to be for everybody.
Very true. All right, continue on. Number two. This is not a tragic story, but it ends a little tragically.
Oh no.
September of 2016 sees the release of The Divine Feminine on September 16th, which is the latest album at the time from Mac Miller.
Okay.
Out of Pittsburgh. This album features the lead single Dang, which he does with Anderson .Paak.
Okay.
Which is a great track.
Love Anderson .Paak.
If you've never heard that track, Dang, listen to it. I guarantee you will love it. It's a great.
Mac Miller's a little mediocre.
You say that.
I say that.
I
publicly recorded.
Well, okay.
People are going to talk about it like 2 years from now.
They will. But I'm telling you, that track is very, very nice.
Okay.
And he's good on it.
Is he playing like the triangle?
He's not playing. He's rapping.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
I'm not saying he's the greatest rapper of all time, but he's not a bad rapper. I've heard a lot worse rappers.
This is not a ringing endorsement.
No, he's good. No, he's actually very good on it.
All right. Okay.
Listen to it. Dang.
All right. Sure.
Listen to it. All right. This album would also feature him working with, again, Kendrick Lamar, Bilal.
Okay. It's not a bad lineup.
Ariana Grande and CeeLo Green.
Okay.
All right.
Now, how did it end badly?
Well, it ended badly. I don't know if you know about this, but Mac Miller suffered a long time with addiction and substance abuse. Okay. And he overdosed in 2018. I don't know if you knew that.
I didn't.
Oh, yeah.
Did he die? Is he alive?
Yeah, no. And again, 2 years, almost 2 years to the day, September 7th.
Damn, that's terrible.
September 7th of 2018, he died from an accidental drug overdose of cocaine, fentanyl, and alcohol.
God damn.
And he was only 26.
Oh, well, that's too bad.
At the time.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, indeed.
I didn't like his stuff, but I didn't want him to die.
I'm sure you did.
Hopefully that goes without saying.
Not necessarily.
I was not advocating for his death.
As you laugh, as you could fall.
I just don't
rather heartily.
Can you find something like? Can you find something? Is the last one going to end with death?
No.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
And this is maybe tangentially hip hop.
Okay. All right.
But on September 30th in 2016, we get the third studio album from American singer-songwriter Solange. This is her critically acclaimed and Grammy Award-winning album, A Seat at the Table.
Yes, sir.
Which features her working also with Lil Wayne, Q-Tip, and The Dream.
Yeah.
This album was the #1 album on the Billboard 200 in the United States. It featured the lead single "Cranes in the Sky," which won the Grammy for Best R&B Performance.
Yeah, Don't Touch My Hair.
In a statement, Solange described the new album as a project on identity, empowerment, independence, grief, and healing. And in 2020, the album "A Seat at the Table" was ranked at 312 on Rolling Stone's 500 Greatest Albums of All Time list.
That's actually probably not a bad ranking.
It's not a bad ranking, and I would imagine that's one of those things that in the years to come, it might even rise up.
I know it's a lot of bullshit above her, though.
I'm sure. I you know.
It's a great album.
It's a very good album.
Yeah, it really is. I was always a fan of Solange, though. Like, Solange and the Soul Angels was my go-to joint.
Really?
Yeah, her joint before that.
I don't.
Where she was like the 60s girl pop. Yeah.
I never checked that out.
Yeah. Well, that's a good way to end it.
That's
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Well, there you go. I tried.
Hey, man.
And that is hip-hop.
Hip-hop.
In 2016.
There you go.
Ladies and gentlemen. All right.
All right.
All right, let's keep it moving.
Keeping it moving.
It is now time for 6 Degrees of D'Urville Martin.
All right.
That's the key. Why, you would be surprised what a person can do with just a sense of touch and a sense of sound.
All right, 6 Degrees of D'Urville Martin, ladies and gentlemen, where I will give Vincent 2 actors, and he will have 6 movies or less to connect them back to
Okay.
the man we call D'Urville.
All right. All right.
Vincent, are you ready?
I am ready.
Keeping in theme,
Thematic.
this first actor,
These gonna be actors that their wives killed them in a jealous rage.
not that theme.
Okay, all right. Spoiler.
This first actor is a famous Morgan.
Okay, all right.
In 6 movies or less, Vincent, connect D'Urville Martin to
Okay.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Yeah, see, the problem with me and Jeffrey Dean Morgan,
You don't know who that is.
no, I know exactly who it is. The problem is he's such a huge presence on The Walking Dead that it has pushed out
A lot of his.
anything that I would have in my Rolodex that he was in the movies.
But he was in movies,
I was about to say, what,
films that I believe you may have seen.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan in the movies, though.
Yes. He's uncredited in a movie that I know you saw. But that wouldn't count. Uncredited. shouldn't
Right.
count.
Well, right. Although I fight for Dolomite in Penitentiary too. What was he in the movies? Because I always think about him on TV, even before Walking Dead.
Well,
Because he was on
he was on another movie I know you saw.
he was on Supernatural. He plays their dad in the flashbacks.
Oh, does he? I never saw Super.
Yeah.
But he was in
not bad.
He has a huge role in a movie that I know you saw. It's a superhero movie. A huge role.
Wait.
A pivotal role.
Wait. Does he play Thomas Wayne in something?
He's uncredited as Thomas Wayne.
But it's clearly him.
Yes, but he's uncredited. Yes.
I don't want to hear that.
No, but that Vincent,
Come on, man.
because the
I
other
just
one
called out who he was in the movie.
Okay, but there's another superhero movie I know you saw. It's a very pivotal role. And it will give you just as many tea leaves.
You know what? Because I got him in Thomas Wayne, tell me what the movie is.
The movie that he's Thomas Wayne?
No, I know he's Thomas Wayne in like one of them Batman. What is he in? The movie are you talking about?
The Watchmen.
Oh, see, that's where you're wrong. Because I knew The Watchmen was a dog. Not for one moment did I watch The Watchmen.
You didn't
movie.
watch Watchmen?
Oh, no, not at all. Not at all.
It's not bad.
Stop it.
It's not
Stop
bad.
it.
It's not bad.
It is terrible.
It's not terrible.
It is
It's not
absolutely
terrible.
in terror. Oh,
It's
yes,
not
it
terrible.
is.
It's not terrible.
Like, I was almost Alan Moore with that.
It's not terrible.
Like missed the entire point
It's not.
It isn't. Who else is in that dog? Oh, so
Gonna call it a dog.
oh, I'm 100% calling it. Yeah, Watchmen by Zack Snyder is a crime.
It's not. It's
Like I'd rather they had done the Watchmen babies, like they joked about on The Simpsons.
It's not bad.
Come on, stop. It's
not.
If you read The Watchmen,
I read The Watchmen. I read The Watchmen almost every
come
other
on,
year.
then stop. Then
I'm not saying it's better than the comic.
No,
I'm not saying it's better than the.
Are you saying that it captures the essence of the comic? Are you saying that everything that Alan Moore is trying to say in the comic, any of that makes it to the screen in the movie?
No, I don't think it captures the comic fully.
No, not fully. Any of it at all. Like any of it at all.
I think it makes attempts.
Come on, stop.
I think it does. You first of all, you haven't seen it, so you can't say.
I've seen like a half hour of it. I've
That's
seen
enough to know that Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Yeah, I've seen the breakout scene in the jail.
Yeah, okay.
You know, come on. Oh my God, who else is in that dog? So it's like him. It's shit. I don't even want to talk about it because now you got me distracted with nerd rage. What else is he in? Oh, right, because he plays a comedian.
Yes.
Oh, Jesus, pivotal role.
Okay, I'll give you another movie.
Yeah, because
Another comic book movie.
Just makes me angry. Go ahead.
Another comic book movie that he's in that he has a pivotal role in.
Okay.
From 2010.
Mm-hmm.
The Losers.
Oh, that's yeah, okay. All right. Well, Derville Martin is in how do I want to get to The Losers? I mean, I know I'm going to get to The Losers, but how do I get right to The Losers? Oh, here you go. Here's a sideways way to do it. Speaking of genre movies, Derville Martin is in Dolomite with Rudy Ray Moore. Rudy Ray Moore is in The Monkey Hustle with Yaphet Kotto.
Yes.
Yaphet Kotto is an alien with Sigourney Weaver, who's in Avatar with Zoe Saldana, who's in wait a second, who am I trying to get to?
Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
And we said
You're right there. You're right there. Zoe Saldana was
right, and he's in the she's in The Losers with
Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Very good.
There you go.
Very good, Vincent. All right, you did it.
The Watchmen.
I'm not saying it's great, but it's not bad. That's all I'm saying.
It is. It again, like the whole point of The Watchmen is commentary, and it deconstructs superheroes, and it talks about the kink and power dynamic in it, and Zack Snyder just turns it into some Zack Snyder 13-year-old boy adolescent nonsense.
No, I have to disagree, and I'm not caping for Zack Snyder in any type of way, but I do think that there is the attempt to bring that into the movie. I don't think Zack Snyder is a skillful enough of a director to really nail it, and primarily because he sticks so slavishly to the comic.
I was about to say it's so superficial.
Right,
it's so surface level,
and because of that, it comes off as very surface level. But I think that
if it's surface level, by definition, you didn't capture the subtext.
But I think in there is an attempt to do that, even with the breakout scene, and then in that turning them on for the sex scene that happens in the ship. I think there is attempt to bring that to life. It's just not skilled enough a storyteller as a director to nail it.
The dude who plays Night Owl is not schlubby enough for the sex scene to be effective, because the whole deal is that dude is schlubby.
He should have put on
the breakout scene. The superhero stuff is a kink.
Yeah, I know. I get it.
You don't get that in the movie when the dude playing Night Owl is all six-packed out and in Hollywood movie guy.
Well, the reason for that is, yes, because of the suit that he wears.
No, when he doesn't have the suit on, he's Hollywood six-pack movie guy. He's not schlubby at all.
He's fit. He's not. I'm telling you, Vince. He's not. It's not like it's.
Keep going, because
it's not like it's like Chris Evans taking off his shirt there. He's not.
Did he not have a six pack when he took his shirt off?
I don't remember.
He's 100%.
He's not as schlubby as the comic book. I agree, but he's not. But he also is not. What's Thor guy? Because he's the person everyone.
Yes,
to.
but he's still
Chris Hemsworth.
He still looks like actor guy in movie. Rorschach is all cool.
Rorschach
is cool.
Rorschach is not cool. He looks now that I think Rorschach is they casted him perfectly.
He's an anti-hero and he's cool.
They casted him perfectly.
Go ahead. Who's the next one? Watchmen.
Next.
Yes.
Keeping in theme.
Uh-huh.
This is a famous Lee.
Okay.
And I went easy on you.
Okay. All right.
I was going to do Lee Mayweather, but I didn't do Lee Mayweather. So instead, I went easy on you.
Lee Mayweather, second Catwoman? No, that's Lee Merriweather. Or are you talking about the same person?
No, it's not the same person.
Okay.
Lee Mayweather wasn't the second Catwoman. The person I'm thinking about wasn't the second Catwoman.
All right, go ahead.
I can't remember who that person was, but it wasn't. Anyway, that's not who I did.
All right, who'd you do?
I went easy on you.
All right, who you got?
So in 6 movies or less, connect D'Urville Martin to Lee Marvin.
Oh, yeah, Lee Marvin. Well, good, because we ate up so much time with The Watchmen. Because D'Urville Martin is in Guess Who's Coming to Dinner with Sidney Poitier. Sidney Poitier is in Paris Blues with Diane Carroll. Diane Carroll is in The Split with Jim Brown, who's in The Dirty Dozen with Lee Marvin.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
All right.
You could also have gone, Diane Carroll is in The Split with Ernest Borgnine.
Okay.
Who was in...
Is he also in The Dirty Dozen?
He's also in The Dirty Dozen.
He's also in The Dirty
But
Dozen.
that wasn't where I was going to go. I was going to go to Bad Day at Black Rock, but
Right.
he's also in the...
He's also in The Dirty Dozen.
He's also in The Dirty Dozen.
We've named 3 of The Dirty Dozen.
Well done.
There you go. All right. Because who's he in? That's him in Cat Ballou, right?
Yes.
Who's in Cat Ballou with him? Who's the female lead in Cat Ballou?
That is Kim Novak.
Kim Novak. All right.
Yes. Sammy Davis' old lover.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Mafia took him out in the woods and said,
"Nigga,
you lost one eye. Don't lose the other eye." Behind Kim Novak.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oof. You really love Kim Novak.
He loved his eye, though. He loved his eye, though.
Married his ass off to a black showgirl.
No, because he marries...
No, before that. Because remember, the Kim Novak stuff happens. Mm-hmm. Then he gets married to the showgirl. The black showgirl to throw off the scent. And then he marries my Brit.
What? I didn't think that there was a black showgirl.
Yes.
No, they didn't get married.
No, they did get married. And then they got it annulled after like a year.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Oh. So where does Lola Falana come in? Because he has a relationship with Lola Falana.
He has an affair with Lola Falana when he's married to Mae Britt.
That's right, because while he's doing Mr. Bojangles.
Not Mr. Bojangles. The man with the golden...
Yeah, some Broadway.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's right. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
We went down Sammy Davis rabbit hole.
Right. You just trying to calm me down from the Watchmen stuff. You just going to rattle. You just going to hold Sammy Davis. Because you know I like Sammy Davis Jr. So you just I know what you're doing. You're trying to bring me, calm me down with Sammy Davis Jr. talk. And it worked.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yes, I did.
Oh yeah.
Oh God, that was funny. That was fun. That was very funny. Okay.
All right.
All right. Hold on one moment, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to get it moving here.
Mm-hmm.
It is almost time for us to get into our review, but I just want to check one thing here. Please bear with me because, as we know, we started late. We're doing this live.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing certain things live here.
While he's doing that, I'll look at the comments. And Ladane, we did indeed review Anna LaCosta. It is in the archives.
It is. Mm-hmm. Indeed. All right. I'm trying to find something that I definitely want to make our listeners aware of. Hold on, please. Just bear with me one moment. Boom. There we go.
All right.
If you are in the Philadelphia area, ladies and gentlemen, I invite you this Thursday, September 14th, to go to the Philadelphia Film Society in Center City, Philadelphia, because our great friend Stephanie Watts of the Be Real Black Cinema Club are going to be presenting a screening of Jason's Lyric.
Yes, absolutely.
On the big screen where it belongs.
That's right. Bokeem Woodbine. Large and projected.
I don't think that's what people are immediately going to come to their mind when they think about large and projected from Jason's Lyric.
Right.
I see a meadow in their dreams.
Alan Payne's golden naked behind. Glistening.
Yes.
In the meadow.
Yes. On a huge
screen.
CinemaScope.
Yes.
This Thursday, September 14th at 7 p.m. at the Philadelphia Film Society here in Philadelphia. You can go to filmadelphia.org. That's FILMADELPHIA.org to get your tickets for the screening of Jason's Lyric, brought to you by the Be Real Black Cinema Club. Shout out to our girl, Stephanie. If you're in Philly, make your way there. Vincent and I, we're going to try and be there, take it in. It's been a long time since I've seen Jason's Lyric on a huge screen. I'm actually interested to see it again. So I actually honestly believe that if there are movies that you have loved, ladies and gentlemen, but you've only seen them on the small screen, or it's been so long since you've seen them on the big screen, that when you are given that opportunity, you owe it to yourself to take advantage of that.
I agree with you.
And see them again.
I agree with you.
You know what movie I'm dying? I am dying. I'm so mad that I wasn't able to make it out during the pandemic to see it on a huge screen. Was one of my favorite movies of all time. It's a mad world.
Oh yeah, that's your jam.
That's my jam. It was filmed in CinemaScope, huge widescreen. And during the pandemic, they were playing it for just a weekend, but it was in like upstate New York.
Okay.
And I was like so tempted to try and go, but I just couldn't. Like it was like in the height of
Sure.
Well, it wasn't the height of the pandemic, but it hadn't quite died down yet.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to take the chance.
No, I hear you. I hear you.
I told myself that if I get enough notice and it's playing again someplace, even if it's playing in California, I'm going to see if I can't go and see it.
Okay, that's fair.
Because I love that movie and I want to see it on a huge screen.
That is fair.
And I've never seen it with an audience.
Okay.
So I want to see it with, because when I watch it with somebody, they usually don't get the jokes.
Yeah, don't get the jokes. Okay.
It's a little long and they leave.
Right. That was a nice story, and then it got sad at the end.
It got a little sad. I'm sorry. All right.
All right.
But that is a perfect segue.
All right.
Into our review of I Called Him Morgan. I Called Him Morgan, ladies and gentlemen, which is, oh, have I lost it? This is what happens. Here we go. I Called Him Morgan from 2016, an exploration of the relationship between jazz trumpeter Lee Morgan and his common law wife, Helen, who was implicated in his murder in 1972. This documentary, directed by Casper Collins and written by Casper Collins along with Jesper Osman, premiered in 2016 and to relatively huge acclaim, was Vincent's selection for tonight's stop on the mission as we go dock to school. Vincent, what say you of I Called Him Morgan?
Well, look, I'm a sucker for jazz documentaries. Like just any jazz documentary at all, especially about an older or rather a musician from the past, because what that means is that you're going to get a whole bunch of old black men and sit them down in front of a camera and they're going to talk about the past. And you know, it's like, you know, I told Charles sometimes I want to be the top hat. And then he told me that, well, if we're going to play by the house rules, we're going to put $200 under free parking. And every time somebody goes to jail, we're going to put that money under the free parking. I said, well, no, that's not what the rules say. And this is dialogue that's not in this documentary.
Right.
But just talking about anything. I love that part of it. There's always going to be some footage of the players playing their music and some stills. And for someone like Lee Morgan, who was on Blue Note, and they talk about it in the film, and they're
which was the big jazz label.
Which was one of the big jazz labels. But one of the things that Blue Note was famous for was that one of the owners, Francis Wolff, was a photographer. So he would take, you know, all
Thousands.
these amazing photos. So this documentary is filled with all of these wonderful still shots
of them
performing,
recording,
of them eating, them drinking coffee, of them acting goofy, of them, you know, smoking cigarettes, just all of it. There's a moment in here where Lee Morgan, one of his stops in his career, he was in Art Blakey's Jazz Messengers. And there's a moment in here where the Jazz Messengers are on the Tonight Show with Steve Allen. And Steve Allen, it's a moment before they're performing, and Steve Allen is talking or something.
He's announcing them,
and the camera pulls back and they're not performing yet.
Right, they're getting ready.
It's just the band on stage, and they're smoking cigarettes,
talking to one another,
and they're talking. And I'm holding. And I actually put down my notebook. I said, "These are the coolest motherfuckers ever on earth." So, just on that level, this documentary fulfills everything that I want in a jazz documentary. It's just real cool. You got the music. You got old black men talking. All of that. A+, no notes. What I think elevates this above just sort of, again, just generalized TV One History Channel documentary on jazz musician du jour that you catch on Sunday afternoon, is right in the title. I Called Him Morgan. And you realize that this is a quote from Lee Morgan's wife, Helen Morgan. And the film, or rather the documentary, very smartly starts with the moment that if you know anything about Lee Morgan, you know it's headed towards. Like I think at this point in 2023, almost as much for his music, Lee Morgan is famous for the fact that his wife killed him at a club, shot him in a club.
Yep.
And my whole life, I mentioned last week, my dad liked Lee Morgan. And 50% of the time, some Lee Morgan would be playing. My dad would say, yeah, because his wife killed him in the club.
Exactly what has happened.
Like, he killed him in the club.
That
like
becomes the shorthand.
It's shorthand. So I always knew that his wife had killed him in the club.
Yeah.
I didn't know any of the details. And I think the assumption that I've always made, because unfortunately this happened with a lot of the jazz musicians from this moment, is that I knew Lee Morgan struggled with drugs and heroin addiction. I assumed that drugs were mixed up.
Played a part in it.
In whatever the conflict was.
Natural assumption.
Where she felt like, once again, she had to shoot him at a club.
Right. A crowded club.
He was at a gig.
Yes.
But I love how the documentary gives Helen Morgan voice. Literally gives her voice. Because, one of the voices that you hear throughout this documentary is that after she gets out of prison, she goes to basically night school. And one of the teachers at the night school interviews her.
Well, she returns to her roots in North Carolina.
Right. And then she goes to school, but this guy interviews her.
Yes.
So in 1996. So he has these tapes of interviews, and we get to hear her voice. And the documentary lays out the fact that while Lee Morgan was addicted to heroin, so much so that he had fallen out of favor, it sounds like he was damn near homeless, destitute. Helen Morgan is the one who got him together.
Yeah. And I think it's worth pointing out, when he is down and out, that's when she walks into his life.
Right.
She's not there before.
Right. Exactly. Lifts him up, cleans him up, manages his life. And from what I gather from the documentary, he doesn't fall back off the wagon.
No.
Like what happens between him and Helen Morgan is about this other woman.
Right. The other thing that's worth pointing out is that Helen Morgan is 14 years older.
Well, I'm getting to that. They talk about that dynamic, which is also part of this complicated relationship. She is 14 years older than him. You find out, and I'm just going to use the phraseology, sexually assaulted. You find out about her life. She has a baby when she's 13. She has another baby when she's 14. When she tells us this, she says in the same breath, I never wanted kids. So although she doesn't say she was sexually assaulted, the fact she was 13, 14, by definition, it's statutory rape, if nothing else. So she has had her own complicated life and challenges that she's navigated
because she didn't raise her kids.
And then she meets Lee Morgan, and then, as you said, brings him out, and then this happens. And I thought this was a really fascinating dynamic that you don't see that often. The role that this woman played in his life to kind of keep him together. And I love the almost subtext of how the men around him, his fellow musicians, when they talk about her, how they have these complicated feelings about her, because everyone acknowledges to a person, she is the reason that Lee Morgan got himself together. But she is also the person that killed Lee Morgan.
Yes.
And everything that goes with that. And then, and I might be reaching a little bit with this just because I realized that I was very sensitive about Helen Morgan by the end. She tells a story about meeting Miles Davis and this really nasty interaction with Miles Davis, where Miles Davis basically, he says, quote, "You're a bitch with a quick mouth. And I don't like bitches with quick mouths." And, I don't see myself like that. But
she says, I don't see myself like that, right?
I don't, I got the sense that there is this almost ambient sexism where it's like she's this woman in these male spaces running his life. Like, just there was a little bit of a tone where like the club owners were like, yeah, you had to go through Helen. Helen's the one that put it all together. Helen is, you know, Helen is this. And it's like, yeah, because if Helen wasn't there, you wouldn't get Lee Morgan. Mm-hmm. So that, once again, just straight ahead jazz documentary, love it. But I also love how much this is a documentary about Helen Morgan.
Yep.
And Helen Morgan's life with Lee Morgan. And not only Helen Morgan, but this other woman gets to talk. Mm. Like you hear from Judith Johnson, where you get to hear from her. So that it's ultimately this very immediate document, because you get a chance to hear from the actual principals, mm-hmm. as opposed to people talking about it,
or just solely,
right. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. Like, I don't know how many different ways to say, like, I really enjoyed this.
I enjoyed it as well. I liked, just going back a little bit on some of the things that you pointed out. When the interviewer, the teacher, talks about how he, realizes that Helen Morgan is the Helen Morgan in mm-hmm. his night school. And he wants, he would love to have an interview with her, and he asked her for an interview. He asked her for the interview. He doesn't get the interview for another 8 years. Mm-hmm. And it was only at that, and 8 years later, she comes back to him saying, hey, do you still want that interview? Mm-hmm. They arrange for the interview. It happens in February of 1996. They sit down for what I think you're led to believe is like maybe 1 or 2 sessions of the interview.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it gets interrupted at the end. So he's thinking, oh, well, we'll have to get back together to finish it. And then she dies in March of 1996.
Right.
So you have a feeling that kind of like tells you that when she contacted him in February, it was almost like, this this deathbed wish that she wanted to get this story out.
Sure.
Get her words, get her side of the story told.
Right.
Which does give us this magnificent document of her telling her story of her relationship with Lee Morgan. But in the exploration and in the interviews with all of his counterparts of the time, or his ex-bandmates of the time, Wayne Shorter, and other jazz names, Billy Harper, mm-hmm. All of them act as a co-signer for everything that she says. Mm-hmm. So if you want to maybe not trust the narrator because it's Helen giving her spin on the story, everything that his friends say just co-signs with it. Mm-hmm. Along with, because they actually give you the biography of Helen, that before she met Lee, she was just this woman who loved jazz.
Right.
And who was always around the jazz clubs.
Right.
And so much so that she became almost like this den mother.
Right.
To all the jazz artists.
Which is a good distinction, not to be crass, but you never got the sense she was like a quote unquote groupie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. She was probably, as it's pointed out, she was older than Lee Marvin, because Lee Marvin was Lee Morgan.
Yes.
She was older than Lee Morgan because Lee Morgan was a child protege.
Right. He was a prodigy. Yeah, absolutely.
He was in bands at the age of 16.
Yeah.
But you also get the sense that she was probably between 1 and 5 years, probably senior to most of the guys in the mm-hmm. game as well. Or maybe probably a contemporary of Dizzy and things like that, or art. But so she threw house parties where they would come and also play there.
Right.
They felt welcome there. She was a good cook. You know, she looked after them. She tried to give them good advice. If they took it, they took it. They didn't, they didn't. But she was there. And she was just a woman on the scene who was respectful of the scene and liked the music, and they appreciated her. So that I liked, you know, getting that window into her world of who she was, and recognizing her as this full person,
right?
This authentic person in this space,
right?
And then when you hear her own voice, especially. Shout out to the imagery of this. You know, the teacher is searching for the cassettes, and then he plays the cassettes on this dirty, dusty old tape recorder. But so it almost has like this found footage type of vibe. But that dustiness of the tape recorder and the fact that it is like this cassette, it then becomes a time machine back into these black and white stills. Yeah. This black and white time of the 60s, the jazz scene in there. So it really acts as an ongoing portal, because we keep returning to the image of that cassette player as her interview spools on. So I thought that was actually very, very smart. I love that while this documentary is filled with the music of Lee Morgan, this is not a documentary about the music of Lee Morgan. The man was a great trumpeter. He had he had one humongous hit. I think the Sidewinder was like his big hit.
That's a big one.
But he had some modest other hits. He was a star of the time, a star on the rise. But this is not about the music. The music is what it is. The music becomes the backdrop and the soundtrack of the lives that are being, the stories that are being told here. So I like that. So in doing that, I was actually better able to appreciate the music, because the music is doing what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to tell you a story,
right? And
the music was like what Art Blakely would say, like, go ahead, tell your story.
Right,
right. His music told a story.
Yeah.
You know, so I love that. And I also really appreciated this for a strange reason. Lee Morgan's voice is not heard in this often.
Right, it's that one interview.
That he does one interview, and then I think there's a bit of a recording when he's teaching a class. Yeah. But other than that, you don't hear his voice.
Then he's on Soul.
Yeah, but he's on the show.
On Soul.
He's on the show Soul. But I didn't find myself missing his voice. Right. I didn't find that his voice wasn't there in his music or in the words of everyone that was helping tell his story. So I still appreciated that I was learning about him. I thought this documentary was beautiful. It was poignant. It does touch on his friend that comes up at the end. It's a little bit transparent, because we get into, you know, while it doesn't linger on his drug abuse, it tells the story of what the drug abuse did to him. Yeah. In very transparent ways. Yeah. At the end. And I appreciated that. It doesn't hold anything back in regards to that. And it's just the story. It doesn't try to eulogize him in any way.
Not at all. It
just tells his story.
Not at all.
Straight, plainly.
Well, again, back to Helen Morgan, the sense that I got from, again, you know, much like you said, his bandmates and contemporaries kind of signed this off. The sense I got is that we are living in one of the better timelines, because Lee Morgan was supposed to die, or just fade into obscurity, or you know whatever his last album was before he fully succumbed to drug addiction was supposed to be it. Yeah. Yeah. But we live in a timeline where Helen Morgan went and got him. Right. So that everything that happened after Helen Morgan is a treat.
It is.
Like, it's a treat. So,
and that's the other thing. Just to push back on you a little bit. I didn't get the sense, and maybe this is my 21st century lens looking at things, but when they when they did talk about how, yes, you had to go through Helen, for the bookings to make sure he was there and everything like that, I didn't get the sense at that time that there was sexism, even a little bit of sexism. There definitely is sexism with Miles Davis.
Sure.
But that tracks because of who Miles Davis was,
right?
What we know of him,
right?
And I actually like that story, and I think you like it for the same reason, because it shows that Helen suffered no fools, right. But I didn't get sexism from every place else. What I got from every place else was a bit of validation of her, because they knew, for the same reason. They knew if not for her, this would not happen. So the fact that she was maybe a little tighter on the reins, and he didn't seem to bother, mind it,
I like that dude that owns Slugs. Slugs is one of the nightclubs that he was in, and the owner was on there talking. I ain't like, it was something about the way he talked about it. I ain't like it.
I didn't read that from him.
All right. I'm sensitive, though.
Okay.
So, and I acknowledge that.
Okay.
Like I really did. I was like, oh yeah, you had to go through Helen. Helen did all the bookings, and it was something about the way he said her name, and the way he kind of, you couldn't, like, he basically said you couldn't even talk to Lee.
Well, you
had to talk to Helen.
But I took that more, not as sexism, but as how out of place that was in that world.
Okay, all right.
That's the way I read it.
I think that's fair. I readily admit, by that point in the documentary, I was so team Helen.
So team Helen. Yes.
Like, I didn't use your inside voice when you talk about Helen Morgan. And I don't know if that was before or after they had dropped in the Miles Davis
I can't
moment,
remember where it comes in.
But like, whenever the Miles Davis moment happens,
that kind of sets you up for.
I said, see, that's that bullshit they all were on with her, and I don't like that. But back to that point, that we have this whole pocket of music after Helen Morgan. The one thing that I would have done differently with this at the end, like with a lot of these documentaries, you get like this moment where they just play the music.
Yeah.
And they're playing music from when he was in the Jazz Messengers. I wanted them to play something that he made after he met Helen.
Helen's Ritual.
The song Helen's Ritual would have been great. But, that's an itty bitty thing. And speaking of Helen Morgan and her legacy that you get through here, as you said, her interview is interrupted by her grandson coming in. But it's a great moment.
Oh, it's such a great moment.
It's a beautiful moment where I forget whether or not you actually hear the grandson's voice.
You hear him a little bit.
Like a little bit. But you definitely hear Helen Morgan say, hey, baby.
Yeah.
And, and even the teacher is like, hey, little man. And, and it's that wonderful energy when a child comes in. And I thought that was so great that that's the last thing that we hear from her. This happy moment. Because you got the sense that she didn't really mean to kill him.
No, 100%. Because you realize it as she's telling her story. She is immediately remorseful for it. Doesn't try to shy away from it at all in any way. Does the time, and then pretty much spends the rest of her life trying to kind of like atone for it. She becomes very a big part of her church.
I'm about to say, joins the church.
Not religious.
Right.
But this is where I can help a community. This is where I can make a mark.
Exactly.
I want to be where I can make a mark.
Yeah.
Right. And she reconnects with her. Well, no, before then she had reconnected with her children.
Yes.
That she had left. But Yeah, so because of that moment with the grandchild feels even that much more.
Exactly. Because
Like
now
the
she's
cherry.
connected to her family.
Yeah. So it really is a beautiful moment. And if you're feeling, ladies and gentlemen, that perhaps, with this documentary, with us telling you so many beats of it, that maybe we're giving a little bit too much of this documentary away. One, to Vincent's point, it starts with basically the story most people, if you know Lee Morgan at all, it starts with the story that you know.
Right.
He was a guy that got shot by his wife.
Right. She came in the club and shot him.
Right. So it spoils the lead right there.
Right.
And the moments that we point out to you, trust me, we are not doing them their due justice. It is so well done. The other thing, and I've always had this point, but there's just something about black and white photography that is just chef's kiss. But I would argue that the late 50s into the mid 60s, that may have been the most stylish time,
dude,
especially for men,
dude,
black men,
dude.
I mean, dude was just going to rehearsal and he was looking pimp.
Look, man, again, I've always, not always, but for a very long time, I've been a fan of Alfred Wolf's photography. Francis
Wolff.
It's Alfred Lyon, Francis Wolf's photography. And just those, just those covers, like the album covers from that period are just beautiful,
so sublime.
I mean, you're just are like you don't even have to like the music.
No,
you just buy the album covers.
That's why so many people have the album covers on their walls.
Yeah, but like these dudes would dress, like you said. A lot of this photography is at rehearsals and jam sessions, and they mentioned it a couple of times in here that Lee Morgan fashioned himself a dresser.
Yeah.
Like he liked to dress.
And he shows it off.
But dude, again, look, I love the Helen Morgan stuff. For me, I ain't need the Helen Morgan stuff. Like they could have spent an hour and a half just almost a slideshow of all of this. So yeah, it's the best.
So would you recommend that people see I Call Him Morgan?
I would. And pointedly, I would recommend it outside of what I just said. Like I said, I'm pretty much a jazz documentary whore. Like I'm just going to watch everything. But this is a really good documentary. First of all, I think it tells a great story. I think it tells a story that even if you think you know the story, it fills it in way more than I would argue the vast majority of people know about this story.
Yeah.
I think it is a wonderful showcase for the music because, the other thing that it does its job. Like I downloaded 4 or 5 albums as I was watching it.
I would have thought that you already had a lot of it.
Yeah, some of it's on CD, some of it, here, there, and there. But like, I didn't have it on my phone.
Oh, okay.
Did I tell you, like maybe about a year ago, I finally broke down. I'm not going to say what. I almost advertised something for free, but I got a streaming service. For years I was against streaming music, and I still am. Just generally, but yeah, so I'm sitting there. Go ahead and put all these on. It's a wonderful snapshot of this moment. I'm trying to figure how much I want to say on camera about this. Art Blakey's Jazz Messengers, the history of them is fascinating. I will say that.
The group itself.
The group itself. Art Blakey and his relationship to these young musicians and these musicians is fascinating. And if you...
Is there a doc about it?
I don't know if there's actually a documentary. I mean, I'm sure there is, but I don't know how much. But this very much fits into kind of an narrative of Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers.
Okay.
That I'll say that. I'll leave it right there. And it's a wonderful testament to a woman who made a tragic mistake. And unfortunately, that mistake has defined who she is in the public consciousness. I think this documentary, back to my first point, does a great job of showing she's more than this moment.
Giving you the full narrative of who she is. Yeah. I agree. It's a beautiful document on the life of Lee Morgan via Helen Morgan.
Mm-hmm.
And for everything that you just said, I think that people should definitely watch this documentary. And then, just like you said, grab yourself some Lee Morgan.
Oh yeah, I mean, if nothing else, you gotta own the Sidewinder.
Damn.
Well, you gotta have the Sidewinder.
The other thing that I will say though, if you haven't done this, ladies and gentlemen, after you see this, get yourself some Lee Morgan.
Mm-hmm.
Download some Lee Morgan, buy some Lee Morgan, however you choose to listen to music. And then set aside a day, a full day, where you, if you are a man, can play this music and spend that day showing appreciation to the woman that is in your life, that you call your partner, and appreciate the difference that one good black woman could make in your life.
All right.
Because that is the other testament that is being told in this documentary. Did she make a tragic mistake? She sure did. And if you want to say, yeah, but she made a tragic mistake, brother, you know how many tragic mistakes you done made and how many times you've been forgiven.
I mean, Lee Morgan made 2 or 3 of them in the movie.
Amen. Amen.
There's a shot. It's a great shot. It's not funny. It is funny, but it's not funny. Where again, you know, Francis Wolff is always taking photographs. There's a moment where there's a shot back in the 60s of a very young Wayne Shorter looking at Lee Morgan. And Lee Morgan has this cartoonish bandage wrapped all around his head, where you find out that he had gotten high and fallen asleep and his head hit a radiator and it burned his head. So he's got this ridiculous bandage on it. But Wayne Shorter has a look in the picture looking at him going like, dude, what are you doing? Because, you know, I do think one of the things that they get across is that so many of his contemporaries were concerned because he had this great talent.
And they saw it.
And he was wasting it with drugs. But they show Wayne Shorter in present day looking at the picture of his younger self looking at him. And Wayne Shorter is disgusted in present day, remembering being disgusted at that moment, looking at Lee Morgan with this ridiculous bandage around his head because he has OD'd and hit his head on a radiator and burned the side of his head up. So yeah, Helen Morgan made one mistake. Lee Morgan made a series of them. So yes, I agree.
There you go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is our review of I Called Him Morgan. Before we tell you what we're going to be reviewing next week with our very special guest, I invite you to follow the Micheaux Mission on the social media of your choice, whether it be Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter at Micheaux Mission. And also on YouTube, where you can subscribe to the Micheaux Mission. Hit that subscribe bell and make sure that you are notified every time we put up a new video for your streaming pleasure. The Micheaux Mission is a proud member of The Podglomerate, thepodglomerate.com. They make podcasts work such as ours, which is filmed and streamed live every Tuesday night from Young Chunk, Philadelphia's premier video podcast palace. go to thevideocontentfactory.com and book your time in one of their glorious studios that they have right here. You can book them in any one except this one, because this is ours. But there's about 2 or 3 others that you can use. All right. You can look at this one. It's roped off. You can look in. It's like, oh, this is where the Micheaux. Yes. Yes. When we're not here, I believe they actually have wax figures.
Wax figures.
That sit here.
I think you're right.
Yeah. So, what else do we have? Oh, if you want to get in touch with the Micheaux Mission, please feel free to send us an email at micheauxmission@gmail.com. That is MICHEAUXMISSION@gmail.com. And it's the only way that you can contact us because, unfortunately, it has been so long since we have received a voicemail that our voicemail account was suspended. And thus ends the great voicemail experiment.
Did the phone company send you a fax that said that it was gone?
No, it was just an email. Google sent me an email.
Did they send it to your Yahoo account or your Hotmail account?
No. They sent it to our Gmail account and said, "Yo, bruh,
It was a noble experiment. I wish I'd have known. I'd have brought in a cake that said, "At least you tried."
A moment of silence for our voicemail.
I'm doing a moment of silence like Dougie Fresh did in Stop the Violence, where he said, "Let's stop for a moment of silence," and then he did the beatbox. He did a beatbox for like 20 seconds. Let's stop for a moment of silence. I'm like, is this what? Wait, that's not a moment of silence at all. All right.
So, next week, here on the Micheaux Mission, as we continue going doc to school, we have a very special presentation for you, ladies and gentlemen, from 2023.
Yes.
This year.
Yes,
just
sir.
a few weeks ago.
Yeah, that's right.
Premiered.
Hot off the presses.
Hot off the presses.
Yeah.
Little Richard.
Yes.
I Am Everything.
Yes, sir.
We will be reviewing that, and we will not be alone.
No.
We will be reviewing that documentary with the documentary's director herself.
How about that?
Lisa Cortez. Will be joining us on the Micheaux Mission to review the life story of Little Richard. I Am Everything.
Oh my goodness gracious. This is going to be fantastic.
I cannot wait.
This is going to be glorious.
She is such a cool person. You will absolutely love her.
And this is such a great topic.
It is.
I love Little Richard.
Well, you are a huge Little Richard
I
fan.
really am.
I know.
So, yeah.
Looking forward to that. That will be next week here on the Micheaux Mission. Until then, he's Vincent, I'm Len, and in parting, we say,
We'll see you when it's time to meet again.